concussion coming off that thing standing right here.
Hey everybody, today I've got a quick little comparison between 3 of the best polymer framed striker fired pistols you can find. These are alternatives to the mainstream Glocks, to the XDs, to the Smith & Wessons, the M&P series, and in many ways they're better than those mainstream pistols. Not that these aren't mainstream, these are very well known manufacturers, but a lot of people don't know that they have ventured into the striker fired realm as well. So what we've got, this is the HK VP9. Right here we've got the Sig Sauer P320, and right here is the Walther PPQ. 3 awesome little pistols. Go and let you take a look there. And we're going to just do a quick little comparison. Do some shooting, some testing and evaluation, and see how we feel about them. Alright guys, first up we have the Sig P320. Sweet little pistol, check that out. It's also probably the most compact of the bunch. There's no one behind the camera. There you go. Let's go ahead and give it a few shots, see how she feels. Couple down here. Give it a try. Alright, so just initial reaction. It feels a lot like my P229. Shoots very similarly. Alright, next up we got the Walther PPQ. Also a sweet little pistol. And as far as size goes, it's next in order after the Sig. A little bit larger than the Sig, but slightly smaller than the VP9. Let's take a few shots with it. I like it. I like how it shoots, guys. And here it is, the HK VP9, the largest of the bunch. As you can see there, it does have some similar aesthetics to the Walther. So let's give it a few shots here. Alright, back to the P320. Just going to go ahead and put it down on the plate rack here, give it a few shots, and see how she feels. Alright, first time out, that was kind of ugly. PPQ. Give it a shot on the plate rack. Alright, here we go, VP9. Another shot on the plate rack. Give it a go. So how do they run with aluminum cased ammunition? Let's check it out. Here's a 320. I ran a bunch through it already. I'm a little low, that's why I only took a few shots with it, but aluminum cased ammunition, no problem at all in the P320. Alright, PPQ and the aluminum case ammunition. Let's give it a go. I'm going to go ahead and shoot at the paper target over here. There she is. No surprises there. I run everything through this guy, no problem at all. VP9, aluminum cased ammunition. Let's give it a shot. Again, onto the paper. Alright, next up we got the P320 steel cased ammunition. So this is the stuff that gives some guns trouble. Let's go ahead and give it a try. No problem there. Alright, here it is. Walther PPQ, steel case tool ammo. Let's give it a shot. Again, no problems there. Run plenty of steel through this guy, no issues. And finally, VP9, tool ammo, steel cased ammunition. Here we go. Running it just fine, and with my VP9, I haven't had any issues with steel cased ammunition. I know some people have said that theirs wouldn't run it, but I haven't had any problems. Alright, we just got done shooting all three of these side by side, and what can I say? These are awesome pistols. So again, here's some of the ammunition we were shooting. Of course, some of your standard 115 grain brass case ammunition, Federal. We also went through some aluminum case Federal and some tool ammo, steel. And all three of these guns functioned 100%, had no issues at all. And that's been my experience the entire time with these guns. I know that some people say the VP9 has issues with the steel. I haven't seen that yet. These two, also no problem whatsoever. Sorry about that, guys, my battery died. Let's move on to the controls. Starting with the PPQ, I really like the controls on the PPQ. They're very flush, and they work very well. I've never had any issues manipulating them whatsoever. I will note the mag release, the spring on it, it's a little light, but it doesn't really bother me. I've never accidentally depressed it, so it's really not an issue. And then again, the takedown notch here, lever, whatever you want to call it, it's completely flush, so it's a non-factor, completely out of the way. As far as the VP9 goes, this one has the European mag release, obviously, so a little bit different than the M2 of the PPQ, but works great all the same, just as you'd expect. As far as the slide stop and the takedown levers, they stay out of the way fairly well. I don't feel them as I'm shooting. Very comfortable. Because I use the thumb's forward grip, I will note that occasionally my strong thumb will depress the slide release as I'm shooting, and the slide won't lock back on the last round. It's only happened a few times, and if I adjust my grip a little bit, it's very easily compensated for, so it's not a big deal. But the controls themselves, they feel great. I don't notice them as I'm shooting, and it's very comfortable. When it comes to the Sig, I don't have the same issues with the slide stop. I do notice it occasionally as I'm shooting. I might feel it a little bit. I haven't had the slide lock back, or I haven't had the slide fail to lock back on me though. As far as the mag release, it works great. No issues there. A little bit more stiff than the PPQ, and again, your standard American mag release. No problems with it whatsoever. The takedown lever, I will note it's pretty large, and it sticks out. I don't know if you can see it there. It sticks out fairly far. And I do notice as I'm shooting, my offhand, my support hand, the thumb rides right along on it, and I can feel it there. It's a little bit in the way, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me that much. I will note also that the controls on all three of these are generally ambidextrous. The PPQ, as you can see, the slide stop is fully ambidextrous on both sides. I really love this slide stop. It really works well. The mag release, as you can see, it uses the standard American mag release. This is the M2, so it's their newer version of the PPQ that doesn't have the normal European mag release. You can swap to the other side if you want, but it is not ambidextrous. Moving on to the VP9, this one also has ambi slide releases, as you can see there. And the mag release, being the European style, is ambidextrous. You can easily activate it with your thumb or your trigger finger, and if you're shooting left-handed, same thing. So fully ambi there. And again, when it comes to the Sig, it also has the ambi slide releases here. Great feature. Then the American mag release, so that will not be ambidextrous, as you can see, but it is also swappable. So as far as the controls go, none of them bother me. There's nothing glaringly terrible about any of them, but I will say my favorite is by far the PPQ, and I just really love how high the slide stop rides. The length of it is nice. It makes it very easy to manipulate, and it doesn't get in the way at all. As I'm shooting, I've never noticed it. It's never been an issue whatsoever. When it comes to the mag releases, they're all great. There's no problem with any of them. I do like that you have the ability to be ambidextrous with the European mag release on the VP9, but that's just personal preference as far as that goes. Additional features, all three of these have a loaded chamber indicator that is combined with the extractor. As you can see, here's a dummy round. Put it in there. On the PPQ, I don't know if you can see it there. It's at the rear of the extractor, and it's very visible, easy to see, and works great if that's something that matters to you. Moving on to the VP9, again, the extractor works as well as the loaded chamber indicator. This one is on the front. I don't know if you can see the little bit of red paint right there. It sticks out just a little bit further. I will note that the PPQ, it's much more obvious when there's a round in the chamber. And then moving on to the Sig. Again, the same thing. As you can see, the extractor here, it'll pop out. This one does not have any paint on it. It is a little bit harder to tell if it's indicating that there is a round in the chamber, but it works if you're very familiar with it. So as far as loaded chamber indicators go, they all have one. They all are dual purpose with the extractor, and again, I'll say the PPQ probably has the most functional and most usable loaded chamber indicator. One feature that I really like about all three of these, they all have slide serrations on the front and rear, as you can see right there, and they all work great. It's very easy to get a nice strong purchase on the slide as you're racking it, and that's an advantage over some of your other pistols such as a Glock or an M&P that don't always have slide serrations on the front. That's not the end of the world. A lot of people don't use the front serrations much at all. I like to while I'm manipulating the gun, maybe dry fire practice and whatnot, or just in an adverse situation. It's always nice to have some additional serrations. So as far as the sights go, the Sig P320 here, it's the only one that's still wearing its stock sights. They're of relatively nice quality, metal sights, 3-dot. They work, they're functional. They also have a decent ledge here so that you could easily rack it on your belt if you needed to charge the pistol with one hand, for example. The VP9, it also comes with metal sights, and they're luminescent, meaning they'll glow in the dark if you charge them in light first. These are not the stock sights, as you can see. These are the Trijicon HDs. They're awesome. I love these sights. Great night sights and also great for day shooting. But the stock sights on the VP9, they're kind of more of a Novak style. They slant down, so it would be very hard to charge this one-handed on the sights. But as you can see, it has these charge assist tabs here on the sides, which you can use for that. So that's really a moot point. But they're high quality sights. They're generally good. You can also get them with night sights, of course. And then you have the PPQ. Again, these are not the stock sights. Again, the Trijicon HDs. The stock sights on the PPQ are kind of a cheaper, polymer 3-dot. I really don't care for them much. It is nice that they're adjustable for windage and elevation, which you can't say for the VP9 and the P320. But I just don't trust plastic sights, man. They're just, you can tell that they're cheaper. And the reason that Walther did that, when they were importing them to the US, Smith & Wesson added certain parts to be compliant. And they decided that they would throw cheap plastic sights on it. The PPQs that you get over in Germany are going to come with a much nicer metallic sight. As far as the stock sights go, they're generally okay. The Walther is definitely the lowest quality. VP9 sights are good, Sig sights are good, very functional. I'm one to generally upgrade my sights anyway if it's going to be a pistol that I'm going to use for any practical purpose. Okay, triggers. So let's drop the mags here. Here's the Sig. So they claim the trigger comes in at 5.5 to 7.5. It's kind of a strange two-stage trigger. Although I don't know if I'd really call it that. I'd probably just call it a creepy single stage. So here we go. There's your initial take-up. Not bad at all. And then it gets kind of heavy. And that's what they call your second stage of the trigger. And then here comes the break. It's not a bad break. It's actually pretty nice. To me, it feels somewhat similar to a Glock, but much nicer. So it's a nice Glock trigger, I'd say. Very, very nice crisp break. Feels good. And then the over travel's not bad at all, as you can see. And then the reset, very minimal reset. So that's great for quick follow-up shots. Again, here's the break. And very minimal over travel. And the reset. So Sig trigger, it's great. Definitely one of the best triggers on a polymer striker-fired pistol. Moving on to the VP9. So according to the website, again, the VP9 comes in at, I believe it's 5.6 pounds. So let me show you what it looks like here. So the take-up here. I will note that there's just a tiny, tiny bit of grittiness to the take-up, at least in my pistol. It's not bad at all, much better than most striker fired pistols, but there is a tiny bit of grit there, and there's really not much take up at all. Then here you go, here's the break. The break is amazing on this. Very nice, clean, crisp break, and the over travel isn't bad at all. Check out the reset. The reset's a little bit longer than the Sig, but again, quite short. And the break, oh, I love the break on that gun. Very nice trigger on the VP9. Incredible for a striker. And here comes the PPQ. So PPQ take up. As you can see, the take up on the PPQ, it is a little bit longer, but it's incredibly smooth. It just feels really, really nice. And then watch this. Oh man, this thing breaks like a glass rod. This is by far, to me, the best trigger of any striker-fired pistol on the market. Stock trigger. It's just incredible. And I don't want to overplay it. It's not like it's a precision rifle trigger or anything like that. But for a striker-fired pistol, it is amazing. And then check out the reset here. Very, very short. And again, the break and the over travel. Very minimal. The trigger on the PPQ is absolutely outstanding. So as far as striker-fired pistols, these three guns right here have the best triggers of any on the market. And if I'm ranking them in order, starting with number 3, I gotta say the Sig, still a wonderful, great trigger. Very minimal take-up, and still a very nice break. Tiny over travel, quick reset. The VP9 edges it out just because the break I like that much more. It's just so crisp. It feels so good as you shoot. A little bit longer on the reset and the over travel. And then you got the PPQ here. Oh man, it blows everything away. The break on the PPQ is just wonderful. It's really a joy to shoot. All three have great triggers. Got to give the win to the PPQ though on that. So as far as special features go, you'll notice on both the Sig and the VP9 here, they each have these indentations right here on the grips. And on the Sig as well. As you can see, it's even cut into the mag well. And that's a nice little feature in case you had some kind of a malfunction, maybe a double feed or something where it's hanging up in there and you've really got to rip that magazine out of the mag well. That's just going to aid you to aid you in that. The PPQ does not have that, as you can see. But again, the magazines, they have a little bit of a lip you can grab onto. It's not a big issue there. Also, the VP9, it has a cocked indicator, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not. There's a little red pin that sticks out when it is cocked, and then after you pull the trigger, it disappears. So that's the only of these three pistols that has that feature, and I do like it. Also, I kind of mentioned it when talking about the sights. There's these little charge assist tabs on the side, and I thought that was kind of gimmicky at first. I didn't think I'd care for it too much, but as I've used it, I've actually come to really like them. It really does make getting that purchase on the slide that much easier, and it doesn't matter where you grab it, even if you catch it with your pinky. It's really easy to do, and you can also use it as some kind of an assist if you were to charge your pistol one-handed. One final feature of the VP9, and I call it a feature loosely, although I have talked to HK about this and they said that it is intentional. You'll notice, let me load around into the empty mag here. If I slam a magazine into the mag well without depressing the slide release, it will drop the slide. Now, I've talked to HK and they said that that is intentional. And I've had it happen with my other HK pistols as well. It's happened with everyone I've had, and HK is consistent in saying that that's a feature that they have designed into it. And I've actually grown to like it quite a bit. It actually just saves that fraction of a second in not having to depress the slide release or charge it manually. That's called auto forwarding. So just a couple extra features that the VP9 has over the other two. As far as takedown goes, they're all extremely simple. I mean, here's your PPQ, lock it back, and the slide comes straight forward. Then you can take your recoil, spring, and guide rod out, just like any other pistol. I'm not going to take it completely apart. Same thing with the VP9. I mean, just like many other pistols, it's got your takedown lever there. After you lock it back, slides right off, and same thing. So I'm not going to completely take them apart. And then there's the Sig P320. This has one very special feature, and I'm going to actually go ahead and break this one down just so that I can show this to you. You do have to remove the magazine first. So the slide comes off just like the other pistols. You've got your recoil spring. So it actually has a double recoil spring on your guide rod there. And then check this out. So I don't know if you can tell at all, but these slide rails, they are not built into the frame like most polymer pistols. All you have to do is remove the takedown lever right here. It just pulls right out. And then you can remove this entire module right here. They call it the fire control assembly. And it pops out, and all you have left is a polymer frame and then the mag release, which you can easily remove as well. The great thing about that is, for one, you can easily buy another frame for, I think they retail for 46 bucks on the website. You can pick up a different size frame. This one's a medium, like I said. You can get a larger frame, a smaller frame. You can buy different slides, different calibers. Literally, you could go from a long slide 45 ACP to a compact 9mm in seconds, and you would have this same exact assembly inside your additional frame, or grip module as they call it, and you'd have your same exact trigger as before, and you could do it in seconds. The modularity of this thing is absolutely incredible. Another advantage to not having these slide rails built into the polymer frame is if you were to put a tack light or a laser, whatever attachment onto the frame, it's not going to affect the functionality of your gun as much. As you tighten down an accessory on the frame, it can cause that polymer to contract. It can cause that polymer to warp a little bit, and that can hinder the functionality of your gun and even cause malfunctions. It's just nice when a company is innovative, when they're kind of pushing the boundaries of what can be done and what we've seen before. So as far as the magazine capacity goes, all three of these are 15 rounds. If you get a larger frame on the Sig, they come in 17 rounds. I do wish that the HK was a standard 17. I'm not sure why they went with 15, because it does have a little bit longer grip. I would have thought that they could have easily put 17 rounds into that magazine. I've heard lots of theories as to why they kept it at 15 for reliability and longevity, whatever. I think it should have been 17. These two at 15 with their size is just fine. And then when it comes to mag price, I believe the Sig and the PPQ, they're going to run around $40 depending on where you go. And the VP9, generally speaking, their mags are more expensive, around 80 bucks. So you are going to pay more for the HK magazines, but as far as I can tell, all the testing that I've done and all that I've heard about them from others who have these guns and who have shot them, all three have great magazines that are very reliable and aren't going to cause any problems whatsoever. As far as availability, it's pretty easy to find any of these mags. The Sig P320, it uses the same mags as the P226. The VP9 uses P30 mags. The PPQ uses P99 mags, so it's pretty easy to get your hands on these magazines. Not an issue there. You'll just pay a little bit more for the HK. So when it comes to the size, this is, like I said, the compact medium Sig P320. It's the smallest of the bunch by a little bit. I'll try to show it to you here. So next to the PPQ, as you can see, if I line up just the slides, the PPQ it's probably ½ an inch longer. So if I include the beaver tail on the Sig, they're about the same. And height wise, they're really close. I'd say that the Sig is just ever so slightly shorter in height. I'm just looking at these things practically. I know the specs on you can read the specs on the website, but sometimes that doesn't translate. And then as far as thickness, they're very similar. Because the PPQ tapers, it does feel a little bit thinner, but they're very similar. And then moving on to the VP9, take it up to the PPQ. Slides, as you can see right there, is that showing up? It's probably a quarter of an inch longer. And height wise, it's within centimeters, but as far as size goes, the PPQ compact, it is the smallest of the three, followed by the PPQ and then the VP9. They're all fairly similar in size. VP9 is a little bit larger, although if you were to get a larger frame and a longer slide on the Sig, it would obviously compete with the VP9 or even exceed its dimensions. As far as the bore axis, all three of these guns are very similar. I think that the Sig, it probably has the highest axis of the three, although it's by millimeters, followed by the PPQ, and the VP9 probably has the lowest bore axis. These all have relatively high bore axes if you compare them to an M&P or a Glock. I haven't noticed that it's much of an issue at all. They all fire very quickly. Follow-up shots are very easy with all three of them. They're all very comfortable guns to shoot. I will say the VP9 and the Walther, as far as just straight up ergonomics in my hand, they feel the best. I just really love the shape, the molding, and the texture on these guns. The texture on the Sig is probably the most aggressive, the most sandpaper-like, and if I had really moist, sweaty hands, it may be the best. As far as adjustable back straps, your PPQ has your standard adjustable back straps, very easy to swap out. The VP9, not only does it have adjustable back straps, but also the side panels are adjustable. And I really love that because it's easy to set it up specifically for your hand. You can have different size side panels on each side so that it really fits your hand specifically. And then when it comes to the Sig, it doesn't have adjustable back straps or anything like that, but these grip modules, again, are only about 50 bucks, a little bit less, and you can swap those out, get a different one to fit your hand. So maybe out of the box you won't have as many options with the Sig, but the options are there. If I'm going to rank these in order, I gotta say the Sig probably comes in last for me as far as that. It's very functional, and I really do like that texture. You can get a good purchase on that grip, but it probably comes in number 3 out of these pistols. Followed by the PPQ, very similar to the VP9, and I really do like it. It's extremely comfortable, but I gotta give the win to the VP9 because of those adjustable side panels. It's just so easy to adapt this specifically to your hand. I do like the length of the VP9's grip for my hand because I can get all of my fingers on there very comfortably. And I've noticed that occasionally shooting barehanded, I get a little pinch right where the magazine meets the grip there. Not a big deal. It's generally still very comfortable, and it's a non-issue. And same thing with the Sig. I just noticed that my pinky finds its way into that gap between the magazine and the grip. Not an issue, but I do like that little bit of extra length because of my large hands on the VP9. So as far as the grip angles, they are all very similar, and you can adjust them slightly with the adjustable back straps on the VP9 and the PPQ. And I also really feel like the PPQ and the VP9 really like to push your hand as high as possible up into that beaver tail. The Sig's still good, but I don't notice that feature in the grip as much as with the other two. As far as reliability goes, all three have been absolutely flawless for me. I've had no issues whatsoever with any kind of ammunition, and I suspect that's going to continue to be the case because all three of these come from very reputable manufacturers, very high quality, and along with that, they all come with a limited lifetime warranty. So as long as you're the original purchaser, if you ever have any issues with any of these guns, send it back into the factory and they'll take care of you. Man, it's really hard to pick a winner between these three pistols. They all have certain features that I really like about them. For example, the PPQ, it has my favorite of all the controls. They're very low profile, nice and flush, stay out of the way, and they work exceptionally well. It also has the best trigger of any striker fired pistol out there. The VP9, its trigger isn't far behind. And overall, I just feel like it's the most put together when it comes to what maybe military law enforcement would desire. It has some additional features that the other two don't have, and oh man, the grip is just so comfortable on this thing. It truly is probably my favorite just to shoot. And then you got the Sig P320. Again, the trigger's not far behind either of the other two, and it takes a huge win for innovation and modularity. There are so many options with this gun. It is so easy to adapt it to any situation you might encounter, and to have different caliber options and grip options with one single fire control assembly. I would not hesitate to take any of these as my primary carry weapon, as my go-to pistol of choice. They all have slightly different features depending on what you're looking for and what is most important to you. Weigh it out, but honestly guys, you can't go wrong. Get out there and shoot them, see what you think. I hope I helped you come to a decision on what's best for you. Alright guys, take care.